One of my favorite, not only because it's at Christmas time, but it's the power of repetition. Does anybody know about repetition, or is anybody familiar with repetition? All religions have repetition in them extensively. In fact, in every religion, they have a lot of repetition. But mantra is a good example. A hypnotherapist, we use, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. We use repetition, and we usually like to use it in a sequence of 3 times. And one of the reasons why that is because for anybody of you who doesn't know much about hypnosis, one of these days I'll get my charts out here. Technically, our brain, our subconscious brain, is made up of 88% of it is our subconscious mind. 12% is our conscious. One reason why meditation works so well, going within ourselves works so well, and hypnosis works so well. But we use repetition extensively. Neuroscientists explain that it takes 21 times. That's a lot. 21 times to form a habit. Also, consequently, it takes 21 times to unform a habit. So that's pretty, that's a lot. I would say that's probably one reason why my clients that I've had for over 21 times extensively, like say 3 to 6 months, one of the many reasons why they seem to go with what I like to call greater gains is because they've made it part of their life. When we repeat something, it becomes second nature. When we go into a form of hypnosis, that's when we're most suggestible, meaning that's when we accept it and we take it, and we're all in hypnosis the first 15 to 30 minutes when we wake up, and the last 15 to 30 minutes when we go to sleep. Another form of hypnosis is TV, movies, something where you get lost in, and a good way to explain it, that I like to explain it, is for every time that you've ever fallen asleep, say on the couch or wherever you're at in a chair, and you've fallen asleep and then you end up hearing in the background, either it's music or the TV, and you don't really know what exactly they're saying, but you know that you can hear it, that's a trance-like state, and that's really what hypnosis is. Now, there are times that people do fall asleep in hypnosis, and it doesn't mean that it's not going to be accepted quite the same, because it is still accepted, but it's best if you can be in that in-between state, that trance-like state. One of many reasons why many scientists also say to study before you go to sleep, for students, or if you're going to take your bar exam or your SATs or whatever you're going to take, or even, could be a driving test or your test the next day at work, or you've got something to do it before you go to bed, because your brain retains it the strongest. That is the same with repetition, but it gets even more than that. Repetition is a very powerful tool for many reasons. Athletes to celebrities to some of the wealthiest people in the world, they use the power of repetition. They already know this. Ask any millionaire, he or she or they know the power of repetition. That old saying, if at first you don't succeed, try again. People say, well, if you give up, you'll never get there. But in reality, it's also the power of repetition. I can't stress enough. Using the power of repetition, we put our intended desire in the most powerful part of our mind, which of course is the subconscious mind that I was talking about a few moments ago. But it gets even more detailed. This is where we get into quantum physics. And one of these days I'll explain that, but that's going to take longer than what we have time for here. Because then this transmits an energetic frequency out into the universe that draws our desire even closer to us. Now that I know about metaphysics and quantum physics, it's the intent that goes out there. So you're saying the prayer, and it's like, for instance, the angels or whatever you believe in, is letting that last and linger longer. So it's a fascinating thing. Try it. I would suggest everybody to try a little bit, 10, 20 minutes a day even. What I do with the candles is I say my intents, my petition, my desire, my prayers, whatever, for about 10, 20 minutes. And then I like to let them either overnight or for 3 hours. And there's a lot of magical things and mystical things about 3, from the Bible back to a lot of the old school laws, and from everywhere to the Jewish laws, and even in a lot of the a lot of the Asian culture. So I like 3 hours, but I do them overnight. There's several powerful ways to meditate on intents. One is hypnosis, candle practicing, manifesting circles like this, and powerful partnerships. That's where the co-creating. And then don't forget the power of prayer. Whatever your religion is or your background and whatever, I believe that unity in numbers and putting that out there, and I do believe in God myself, but I won't put that on anybody else. Not in a religious sense by any means. Some call it source, some call it spirits, some call it part of themselves, whatever you want. But especially it's important with other like-minded people too. This transmits an energetic frequency out into the universe that draws our desires even closer to us. And guess what? This affects our family. This affects our family. It affects our friends with an overflow ripple of cause and effect. It brings even more abundance through quantum physics. Therefore, remember this secret and start practicing it right now. Right now, but practice it this week. You will be amazed at the change. Look at already the change that we're having in our lives already of getting together. Just one miracle after another. So anything that you want to manifest, it will bring it to you much faster, and you'll be amazed at the ripple effect. I kind of wanted to get into a little bit of the terminology of what the dictionary talks about. Repetition, it's the act or an instance of repeating, to reiterate. It's a thing, a word, or an action that is repeated. It's replicated or it's copied. The act of repeating, a repeated action, a performance, repeated utterance, like what you were talking about, for instance, a mantra, a reproduction or a copy. I just can't say enough about repetition. It's a really powerful tool that is something that we need to remember. Now, we're getting to the 8th secret. There are 3 components to money also. The first component, and they're not necessarily in this order, one of the components that's really important is to save each and every month. And that's where living, the last MoneyBowl, we talked about living below our means, below our means, so we can then therefore live above our means. I don't mean below in a poverty way. I mean, going without certain little things and putting that money away that we don't really need, or maybe shopping a little bit further for something that we can find a better price on. And then the second is, after you save the money, is to invest the money. And it doesn't matter in what way that you're going to invest. Some it could be coins, some it could be jewelry, some it could be stocks, some it could be even investing back into your business and yourself. But I'm talking about saving so you can have more money flow. And then the third component to money, and this is crucial and this does work. And the third component is charity. And these components really work together when we use them together, because there is a science to money. And once you find this, your life will change if you keep practicing this. Just to remember those 3 components: save money, invest with the money saved and some of your money, not all of it, and then always have the third and last is charity. It's a universal law for charity for us to give back. Now, it could be as simple as somebody who doesn't have money and they donate their time. You have to give charity. And we need to give it not necessarily every day, but every month as we pay our mortgage or we pay our rent or we pay our bills. You have got to make sure you've done something of charity. It could be as silly as going and feeding, I'm always feeding cats. It could be feeding homeless cats. Even if all you have is crackers for the squirrels, you have to give charity. You cannot just take and not give back. And the more you give, you'll be surprised. And you don't give to get, but the more you give, you'll be surprised at what you'll get back. I think it's important too to give to family and to give to friends, and I don't think that you should go outside your means. I don't think you should give if you cannot do it and then you find yourself resentful. That defeats the whole purpose. You give because you can and because you're able to. I want you to think of 3 things that you want in the intent. First is the money, whether it's a bill or bringing money. The second thing is, what abundance do you want in your life? What more do you want? Do you want to lose 10 pounds to get in something? Do you want to sleep better? Do you want to sleep longer, be able to make more time for sleep? And then the third could be for maybe either your family and friends, could be maybe for your career, whatever. I want you to think of 3 things.